Hello and welcome to Art with Mr. P. This week we're using collage. You'll remember that's mostly about cutting and sticking. This week we're going to up the pace a bit and we're going to involve a little bit of weaving too. Collage is, remember, not only cutting and sticking, but it's about providing instant colour or instant texture. Remember, texture's about how things look, how they feel. It's about sorting things. It's about something called composition. Composition is how we make decisions about how things go on the page. Yeah, where do we put things in the picture? How do we organise the colours? How do we give the artwork depth? And by that I mean collage has connections with 3D work too. So I'm going to ask you to produce an underwater scene that will involve a little bit of weaving. Let me show you how. So we're going to start with a little bit of weaving. And you want to start off with a blank piece of paper. Doesn't matter what colour it is. Doesn't even have to be paper. It could be cardboard, piece of card. And I'm going to put a line of glue along one of the short edges. And what I'm then going to do is, having cut out some strips, I'm going to glue these across the page like this. Now you'll notice, to make the job easier in a minute, you'll notice that I'm leaving a little bit of a gap in between each of these strips. You'll also notice one of the strengths of collage is that we've instantly got a range of lines, shapes, colours and textures, and we haven't even had to use a paintbrush at this point. Okay, so they're glued at one end, yeah? I'm going to fold back every other one. What I then do is put a line of glue along one of the long edges. And what that means is I can then glue down strips that I've cut out of a magazine. Now, with the weaving thing, can you see that what happens is we have strips of paper go in one direction. The strips of paper that go in the other direction go under and over and under and over the strips that we've already put down. But the trick is your next strip that comes from the long side has to go in the opposite way. It has to be folded, has to be woven the other way round. Now, what on earth do I mean by that? Well, really tricky to put in words, yeah? I'm going to put this piece in. Now, I'll try and explain. It might make more sense. The first strip started by going under and then over the purple strip. The next strip doesn't go under, it goes over the first strip and under the next strip. So if I go on to a third strip, and it's a good job I can demonstrate this to you, because can you imagine how difficult this would be if we were trying to do this just using words? In actual fact, almost impossible, I imagine. Right, so let's quickly revisit this. So we've got strips of paper going in one direction, and now we've got strips of paper going at right angles, we're going in the other direction. The first strip started off by going under the first purple strip and over the next strip and under that strip and over that strip and under that strip and over that strip and under that strip and over that strip. The next one did it the other way round, did the weaving the other way round. So it went over this strip instead of under it, under the next strip instead of over it. The third one does the same as the first one. And you've probably guessed this already if you don't know, that the fourth one is going to be the same as the second one. So I can see some numeracy creeping in here, something to do with even and odd numbers. Yeah? So I'm going to stick the next strip in, and it goes. See how that one went under, that one went over, that one went under, that one went over. So what we're doing here is weaving, and that's how most of our clothes are made. Yeah? So I'm going to cut some more strips. From this old magazine that no one wants anymore. Okay, and this time I want to go under the first purple strip, over the second one, under the third, over the fourth, under the fifth, over the sixth, under the seventh, and then over the last one. So I'll stick that in. In it goes. And then I can bend these back. I think I want it a little bit straighter than that though. This time it'll be over the first time. Quite tricky this. It's quite fiddly as well, yeah? In I put it, in it goes. Bend these back. This requires a degree of patience, maybe a little bit of help. Bend these back, so we're going under this time. First crossover, the first woven part will be under. Make sure there's enough glue there. Stick that one in. Going back that way. So you can see how you could do this until you ran out of whirl to do it in, yeah? But for us, for purposes for showing this to you, I'm going to glue these bits down. All sorts of choices to make when you're weaving. You've got to decide what materials you're going to use to weave with. You could use fabric, you can use ribbon, you can use paper, you can anything that you can manipulate this way you could use. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to cut these edges off to make it tidy. So we've done a little bit of weaving there. Now I would like you to produce something where this is the background, and I'm thinking off the top of my head this kind of weaving thing looks a little bit like, to me looks a little bit like water and seaweed. So I have found some painted paper from another lesson, and I'm going to put a fish on here and another one over here, and because threes look good in art, yeah, I'm going to do another one over here, and I'm going to cut these out and stick them on. Now you'll notice that I've drawn on the back of the paper, and that means when I turn the paper over to stick it down, it means that we won't be able to see the line. Yeah. Now it just occurs to me that this looks a little bit like a net as well. So maybe these fish have been caught in a net. Yeah. It's a shame. Maybe they're escaping from the net. Maybe there's an environmental protest going on here. So anyway, collage, look at this. You couldn't paint this, could you? You couldn't do it. How super is that? Doesn't that look? Now, when I'm sticking these fish down, I'm not going to stick them down so they're flat. Because that's one of the other joys of collage, of course, is that it's not flat, it is verging towards tactile, it's about texture, it's about the 3D-ness of stuff. And I think what I could do, just to give this an extra dimension, I could stick some buttons in these fish. Oh, that one's got a very big eye. Just to give it a little bit extra. Anyway, there's a starting point. I'd like you to do some weaving. Have a go. You can weave whatever can be woven. You choose. This is your artwork here. Where can you take this? So we've produced an underwater collage with a little bit of simple weaving in there. Collage, remember, is all about not just sticking and cutting, but organising pieces that we've found and chosen to use on the page. There are connections with the 3D because often the pieces that we're going to stick onto the page have depth to them. And by depth, I mean not only do they have a front and sides, but they have a back too. Yeah. Next week, we're going to be looking at drawing again. Until then, bye-bye.